So what is a worldview? A worldview answers four basic questions. How did we get here? That's the question of origin. Why are we here? The question of meaning. What's right? The question of morality and ethics. And where are we going? The question of destiny. So I want to sketch it out for you this way. I got this handy chart. You can take a picture of it, write down as I go. I want to contrast a biblical worldview with a humanistic worldview. And I know we don't go around talking about these phrases, and we don't use the word humanistic, but as I fill this out, you're going to have a moment of, oh, yeah, that's the world we live in. I've seen that. I've breathed that. I've experienced that. So let me just explain this one thing at a time. A biblical worldview has as its focus God. It's God-centered. It revolves around God. We exist for the glory of God. We find our fullness in God and God alone. Next, our standard, our guide, is the Bible. In the Bible, I find direction for life. I figure out God's stance on morality and ethics. I find direction for relationships. I discover how to get to heaven. It is my authority. The goal is to be holy. Remember, a few weeks ago, we talked about how God didn't send Jesus, his son, to make us pain-free because that didn't happen. He didn't send us to make us happy. That didn't happen. He sent to make us holy. That's why the letter is addressed to all the holy people. Next one, in a biblical worldview, my home is heaven. One day we will live in a new heaven, a new earth with resurrected, glorified, changed bodies. And a biblical worldview knows the problem in the world is sin, meaning the problem is me. I am the worst of sinners, meaning I have to take responsibility. So the attitude flowing out of that is humility, because I don't deserve grace, and I know I'm the problem, but Jesus died for me anyway, which means under this worldview, I can't go around saying I'm a victim. Nope, I'm the problem, and Jesus saved me. So, therefore, I live by faith. I am certain of what I hope for. I'm sure of what I do not see, because the power that raised Christ from the dead lives in me, so I know there's something deeper going on in the world. This is a biblical worldview. Now, what's a humanistic worldview? First of all, the focus is on me. It's me-centered. The world revolves around me. It's all about me. I'm the star of a movie called Me. The guide for this worldview is culture. Wherever culture goes is where this person goes. There is no standard. That would be offensive. So we just drift down the river of culture lazily and let us take it where it will. The goal of humanistic worldview is to be happy, right? Because I'm the star, it's about me. I want to feel good, so whatever makes me happy, I run after it. And you can do whatever you want as long as you don't impact my happiness, right? Okay, next one. Home is the world. What you see is what you get. This is all there is. You live for today. So the problem, since it's all about me, can't be sin. That wouldn't make me very happy. The problem is systems. And the thinking goes like this. I'm good, and I try to be good. So if we just fix the systems, everything will be great. Everything will be perfect. Everybody will be happy. Which means when you're kind of comparing these, under one of these, I have to take responsibility. Under this one, I don't have to take responsibility for anything. I didn't cause any problems. So the attitude is arrogance because I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, if there is wrong in this world, I'm a victim because all I'm trying to do is be happy, so I can't do anything wrong. Is it clicking that you've seen this in our world? Head nods? Yeah. So the end of this is that the humanistic worldview walks by feelings, meaning what I feel is right. Now, think about this. The thing I will give credit to the humanistic worldview for is within itself, it has integrity, meaning within itself, it makes sense, or it all fits together as different puzzle pieces to form one coherent train of thought. If it starts with being me-centered, then all of this naturally flows out of it. But here's our problem. We got two worldviews. There's the biblical worldview, there's the humanist worldview, but the reality is that what a lot of us try to do is mix them. And this is what I call the danger zone. And here's what we do. We say, well, I want to be God-centered, but God should be for me. And we say, I want the wisdom of the Bible, but I want to look at it through the lens of culture, because if culture disagrees with the Bible on anything, then the Bible's probably outdated and we should just set that part aside. We say, holiness sounds great. Like, sure, I want to be holy, but it seems like holiness should lead to happiness. If it doesn't, I must be doing it wrong. We say, heaven is my home, but I'm on earth right now, so I should make the most of it. We say the problem in the world is sin, but it sure seems some systems must be sinful, so maybe we should focus on that first so I don't have to deal with me. And sure, humility. I love being around humble people, but it doesn't really get me far in life, so there's times where I just got to be arrogant just to fit in and get things that God wants me to do. Besides, what kind of God would ask me to do something I don't understand? That becomes arrogance, and it looks like humility, but it reeks like pride. And then last we say, well, I want to live by faith. That sounds great, but faith should have good feelings, because when I first came to Jesus, it really had all these good feelings inside, and if I don't feel that anymore, then probably Jesus didn't work, and I just need to give up on him and move on. And this is where Christians get ourselves in trouble, because you can taste the grace and peace that come from here, but you never get full of it. Have you ever done one of those things? My wife and I have done this before. You know those meal order kits online where they pack it on dry ice, and I think they charge you $300 for 2 portions of it, and all the ingredients are pre-measured out. My wife and I think we had a gift card for it maybe or something, but we did this a couple times just to experiment with it. And there are aspects of it that were really cool, and since it was expensive, we kind of made a stay-at-home date night out of it. I think we dressed like we were going on a date. We put the kids to bed, and we don't really drink wine often, but I think we were drinking wine just because it felt fancy with the fancy meal. And we're cooking, and everything's pre-measured, so we feel like we're on the Food Network, right? And we're using ingredients that we don't ever buy or cook with, but that sound good. So, we're cooking together, and I say, hey, babe, can you hand me the bok choy? And she says, sure, honey, here you go. And she says, where's the salt? And I said, here it is, babe, pre-measured just for you. And we have a blast cooking this meal. It's really fun. And then we sit down to eat, and I kind of look at it, and it looks a little small, and we pray, and we've had fun cooking it, so we eat it, and then I'm like, where's the entree? This thing was enough for an appetizer, but who's making these things? 8-year-olds? What's going on? So we've never gotten those things again because it was a neat experience. It was a fun experience. It tasted good, but when I eat, I have one goal. I want to be full. And here's why I tell you that. If you live in the danger zone, if you try and be in the middle of these two things, you won't get full of grace and peace. Thanksgiving full, I think I never need to eat ever again because I'm so full of the grace and peace of Jesus, and I'm overwhelmed by who he is and what he's done in my life, and I don't know if I ever need to encounter him ever again because I'm just overwhelmed with him. And that danger zone is where people walk away from faith because they say, Jesus didn't work. To which I want to say, well, you didn't work it. And you never really experience grace and peace.